Somehow, RAD won this map. Welcome back to my midseason finals coverage. Today we will be looking at the only game I predicted wrong. Why? RAD are up 2-0 and are looking unstoppable. Swamp takes us to Symbiotic Surface, hopefully to turn this series around. What follows is both teams throwing absolute haymakers at each other until only one is left standing. Let's get into it. Both teams ban Mantis, first protect Gambit, which forces both teams to second ban Loki. Loki Gambit is something neither team really wants to deal with. RAD decide to target ban Daze, eliminating his Daredevil and Wolverine. This has proved an effective tactic against Swamp in the past by other teams. Swamp banned Thing and Black Cat. Thing mostly because he's very strong at the moment, and Black Cat because Crazy Kitty is really good at that character, and RAD banned Daredevil, who is one of Black Cat's biggest counters. RAD walk out on Groot, Mag, Elsa, Storm, Gambit, and Invis. While a good comp, I find it interesting that this is their comp on defense. I would expect this to be their attack side comp. Obviously, Storm can damage boost Mag, Groot, and Elsa, which is very good, especially with Storm's Thor team-up making her hit scan to pump out damage. Swamp walk out on Penny, Mag, Elsa, Ultron, Adam, and Gambit. Again, I would expect this to be Swamp's defense comp instead of attack, but Penny can hold space they take on first point very well, and they have two very good pushing ults with Ultron and Gambit. So I really like Swamp's pathing here, especially with attack Penny. Normally, if you try to use attack Penny and go down main, you're going to get poked out from here, or this high ground right here, or down main. But since Swamp is taking this path, there's a lot more cover for Krasmang to play behind and slowly inch forward with Penny. So Swamp are going to get a lucky break here and obliterate Smashnez. And immediately they rush forward to take the 5v6. And so RAD are going to bunker in this little area right here, which is where the attack Penny is going to come into play. As Krasmang is going to set up his nest right here, and so it's blocking this area right here. They can't peek it because they're going to get destroyed by Penny Mines, and he is up here to contest high ground. Of course, he drops. And then his team is going to call him back here and set up the nest here in a more traditional attack position. But now all of RAD is here, and they have to walk forward onto point and kind of zombie walk through point while RAD have an incredibly good position just on point. So you see that Ducky got anti-healed by Valentina's Gambit anti-heal, and Vertigo just got Invis ult, so he's about to pop it, but he's just a bit slow to get Ducky. I think if he had gotten his Invis ult maybe a second earlier, Ducky could have lived and they could have contested more, but honestly, with the two picks that Swamp got, I think it was kind of a lost cause. All RAD could have done is just delay more. And Swamp will cap first point. So Swamp really took advantage of their 5v6 and really got a defensible position on point, which was really helped by the Penny Mines. And that is the theory behind Swamp's attack Penny, is gain space and then lock it down. So both teams are engaging each other on high ground. Melophobia has gotten into this nice spot here and is going to get Mash with the Glartrox, gets a kill, and Ducky wants revenge for this, so he's going to Groot ult both Melo and Daze, and then Scatter is going to bubble Melo and try and get in the way of Ducky's damage so he doesn't proc the Groot wall. And then Valentina is going to come in and try and cleanse this, but Ducky anticipates this and puts the wall up. Very smart from Ducky. If his team was with him, they might have gotten some kills here, but here's the problem with that. Vertigo and Lugia are completely disconnected from this fight. They can't help Ducky or Crazy Kitty at all take advantage of this Groot ult. And then while this is going down, Crazy Kitty and Smash have gotten caught out and gotten killed. So ultimately it's an ult trade 1-for-1, but Swamp come out on top just because of how the positioning worked out in this fight. RAD are going to take a very unconventional path to point. They all go through this little area here, probably in an effort to avoid Krasmang's setup. They probably think he's going to set up like right here or maybe here, so to block these two exits. So they're just going to go around here. And then Forky Dog is going to Ultron ult, 1, to keep them in this little bunker here, and 2, give more time for Krasmang's Penny Nest to set up more mines. And then Lugia is going to try and aggressively mag ult to 1, buy his team more space, and 2, try and get a pick. Unfortunately, he just misses Forky Dog. And then RAD see an opportunity to push. They need to push because the cart is almost at the point. So they use 2 ults, which is matched by Valentina. They don't get anything with these 2 ults, so now it's Swamp's turn to take the initiative and push RAD back. They get Crazy Kitty. And Vertigo, Sue also try and stabilize to delay more. But again, they don't get any kills off of this. And then 1 by 1 they fall. So what really turned the fight there is RAD not getting any sort of positioning advantage or kills with the Gambit ult, which allowed Swamp to kite it and then respond with a mag ult and more picks in the neutral. So RAD decided to switch their comp up. So far, they haven't been able to get through Swamp's wall of healing. So they're going to put up their own wall of healing. They're going to match the Ultron, Atom, and Gambit. So I want to talk about positioning and how teams rotate around each other. So we start in the middle of this fight where both teams are in their standard positions, I would say. RAD are here. Swamp are here. Everything's normal. The Forky Dog Ultron ults to kind of push and to break the Glartrox. And then mash Gambit ults to regain positioning. And they get a few kills. And most importantly, Daze is Ultron ulting right here in this cave. So now they have them trapped in this little cave because everybody gets rezzed. And then look at where RAD take up positions. Mash and Vertigo and Smash are on this right side right here, and Swamp are on the left side. So they're no longer like north to south, they're east to west. And then they're worried about their tanks coming out of this left cave system and flanking, so now RAD have shifted more clockwise to the 6 o'clock position. And now both teams are on the opposite side of the cart. The defenders are where the attackers should be, and the attackers are where the defenders should be. And neither team randomly ended up here. Every positioning, every rotation made sense. And now this Gambit ult is going to further reinforce that. I mean, look at where the card is. It's here, and the defenders are here. Now, the downside to this is that the cart is pushing forward, and the defenders can't touch it. They've been pushed off of cart. So now the defenders have to throw bodies at the cart to stop the cart, or else the attackers are just going to kite them all the way to the point. So now you can see with the Ultron ult and with the Atom ult, both tanks are here and the rest of the team's here. There is a disconnect in positioning. While they do still have cart, the Atom ult's over, and Ducky goes down, doesn't get rezzed, and the cart begins moving it again, So the defenders have to throw bodies at the cart, and one by one they fall. And they will never recover from this, and Swamp will take the point with about 90 seconds left. Rad walk out on Groot, Mag, Punisher, Storm, Gambit, and Invis. Only a slight change from their defense comp. As I've said before in other videos, Storm Punisher is a great DPS duo, especially for breaching defended positions like on first point of this map. Swamp walk out on the same comp as they had on defense. Don't change what works. But they get to lean more onto their Penny preferred playstyle, the very defense heavy setup. So this kind of leads into more of this comp strength instead of on attack. So again, Rad walk out on this position here to the right, and it kind of starts out the same as the first part of the match where Swamp get a pick on a Rad player, but unlike that, Rad get a pick back. Now it is on Daze, who has Atom Res, but Swamp aren't as able to take advantage of the 5v6, one, because they're the defenders, and two, they're in a less stable position because if Daze goes down again, they're missing a healer. And a side effect of Vertigo going down is look what Mash's ult percentage is. It's at 53%. No one else is above 25, 26. So they're going to have Gambit ult very quickly. And then Mash has his Gambit ult, and they're going to go in with it. See how Smash is just melting the tanks with Storm damage boost, with Punisher shotgun, with Gambit boost. Now he does go down, but he gets 2 tanks as Rad begin to take control of the point. And they get 2 ticks here, which is very important because 2 ticks is much easier to cap with than no ticks. Now Swamp do portal, so they're going to back off, build their ults again. Kite the Ultron ult. Lugia ults to save both him and Ducky. And then ult trades go through. And then this is the one that really swings the fight. Invisible Punisher ult. Very good combo. And he gets a few kills, and basically look how Swamp are going to zombie back onto this point. There's only 1 tick needed, so this Punisher ult will last the entire time, and they get the point. Those 2 ticks were very important, as Smash's Punisher ult secures the point, and Rad also get a very quick take on first point. Not as quick as Swamp, but still very quick. Melophobia had some really good ults this game. You see he is hidden here, even though 2 of his teammates will go down. He's still going to use this Glaratrox and get 4 with it. And now we've arrived. All of Rad is dead. They have 1 minute and 51 seconds on the clock. The cart's not even halfway to second point. How do Rad win this map? So I don't think that Daze's upcoming Atom ult is completely necessary. Swamp managed to get a pick on Ducky. Mash gets Melophobia, and Daze is going to res Melophobia. Just Melophobia. You see nobody else on the team is pressured. Rad still have a player in the spawn timer, and Swamp only have Penny ult now to contest whatever Rad has. Now Swamp doesn't know what Rad has, but they probably know that they are close to Invis, Storm, and Bucky ult. I don't think that this was a completely necessary ult by Daze. Elsa's a pretty fast hero. She can get back quickly. Daze throwing away his ult here is kind of the beginning of the spiral for Swamp. So Crazy Kitty is ulting right here, and this is a genius Gambit team up by Mash. He separates Mellow and Scatter from the rest of the team Mello gets picked off, Scatters alone, while Crazy Kitty is storm ulting the rest of the team. Look at where their mag is. Scatters all the way over here behind the entire enemy team, separated from his healers. And eventually he just gets picked off because he's alone. So remember what I said about rotations and how the defenders have to chase cart if they end up swapping sides? Well, that happens to Swamp as they go up this ramp here and are on this high ground, but the cart has already moved past this high ground. They can't drop down and contest it immediately. So now, basically, again, the attackers and the defenders have swapped sides, and the defenders have to throw bodies at the cart to touch, and they don't touch. Krasmang manages to touch, but he's completely separated off from his team, and the Bucky ult just wipes them out, and Rad gets second point. So Rad are going to go in with Emma ult, and I really like this combo right here. So Ducky has gotten 3 psionically seduced, which gives Smashnez the easiest hook of his life onto Krasmang. They get him, they get Daze, and from there it's a cleanup job as they also cap third point. Rad are on the attack again. They walk out on the same comp as last time, except replacing Punisher for Bucky. This could be due to Smashnez wanting his comfort pick, or the fact that Bucky's a bit more self-sustaining than Punisher. A couple things I didn't show you on Rad's first attack side. Smashnez was getting picked off on Punisher a little bit too much, so that's probably why he switched to Bucky. Bucky has a little bit more overhealth. Swamp walk out on the same comp they've been on, except replacing Thing for Penny. I think this is because, one, due to low time, Rad might just be aggressive, and despite the Penny nest, they just walk in and break it. They just all focus it down. And 2, if Rad portal out of the gate, the Penny setup is auto-broken. So the Thing is a safer option for them. So Swamp are going to ambush Rad outside of this little room here. And I'm a little confused as to why. I think it would make more sense if they were going to try and kite them to point. Like, fight them here, back up, fight them here, back up, fight them here, and then like hold them at the choke. Or if they were trying to go the other way, they fight them here, they go up onto the ramp, they fight them here, they fight them here. But no, they commit to this fight. Like, Krasmang goes in, Scatter goes in. Like, I'm just a little confused because even if they wipe them quickly, they're just going to portal. So I guess their plan is to force portal. I mean, portal most of the time doesn't work. So I guess that's their plan if they can win this fight quickly. But what happens if they lose 2 or 3 on this fight and Rad have closer spawn, they have closer portal, and they manage to get a foothold? I feel like this plan just works out better if you just kind of kite them backward the entire time and make them earn every inch and not go super deep. Now, Daze does get hooked in by Smashnez here and does die, and he has Atom Cocoon, so he's fine. They go 1 for 1 here. But Adam dying here is important later. Keep that in mind. So Daze makes a pretty disastrous positioning mistake here. He's right here next to Mello. He should be like up here next to Valentina or even here next to Forky Dog. But he's with his DPS and his tank. And he goes down, and Daze cannot go down here. That is disastrous for Swamp Gaming. Him going down, 1 is a 5v6, and one of your healers is Ultron, so you're just not getting the healing. 2, he's not building Atom ult because he's dead, and Atom ult is a huge swing in an overtime push like what Rad's doing here. So it's just really bad. And then Rad get a major foothold on the point, and with Daze still not back, they just don't have the healing to completely sustain. Krasmang goes down. Scatter's alone on point. Mello goes down. And Rad are going to cap first point. So I really like Rad walking up all the way here They know that Swamp got full wiped and are coming back from a really far out position, so they just decide to take all this space, and they use it when they do get pressured. See both teams gambit ult, and then they just decide to back up because they have all of this space. The cart's here, the cart's still moving, but they have all this space to use. They might as well use it. Rad walk out on Mag, Emma, Bucky, Ultron, Gambit, and Adam. Obvious triple support, aim to just stall out time. Swamp has. Swamp go back to their comp they started the match on. Worked out before. They're going to do it again. So I really like the idea that Rad has to just fight for this high ground as long as possible. They're really holding them at this choke. I mean, they hold them for like a minute here before they are eventually forced off and have to surrender it. But again, this is all about delay. And then now they're finally off high ground. And Swamp managed to take it. You notice how Ducky is the only one on point, contesting point. And Valentina is going to see this too. And he's going to use the Mag Gambit team up to separate Ducky from his team. And remember, this is the old Mag Gambit team up that procced every 0.5 seconds, so it's constantly pushing back Rad away from Ducky. And they can't get out of this choke in time for Crazy Kitty to heal Ducky. And then from there, Swamp get a chokehold on the point. Now, one thing you might have noticed is Rad do something pretty smart. They don't try and fight for point once they have someone go down. Now they can fight them here and contest this space that they took when they were on overtime attack. They can now contest this space and fight Swamp all the way. So Rad are responding to Swamp's Gambit ult with their own. Lugia manages to get Valentina low and gets her, which forces Daze to res. Big cooldown to force out. Vertigo gets what's called the better res. It's going to end later and manages to get mash back and smash back. Very good cooldown management by Lugia, managing to always contest point. Both teams Ultron ult come out as a wash. Both teams are at a stalemate right now. Mellow portals as Strange. Krasmane gets hooked, a little out of position, manages to get a pick there, and that is what turns this fight. Without Kraz coming through the portal, Valentina goes down, Mello goes down, Scatter goes down, and no one's left to touch point, and Rad will secure the 3-0 victory. Overall, Rad had a hell of a turnaround this map as they win this series and secure third place at LAN. They really were on another level this tournament, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for them. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe because next week, it's time to get really serious.